Welcome to the Holy Hour. I'm Amelia Sampson, and I'm Liz Ball. And here's me talking because I get nervous every time Liz stops saying her name. That'll be our whole intro.
Welcome to the Holy Hour.
I'm Amelia Sampson.
And I'm Liz Ball. Thanks for joining us this evening.
We
wanted to do a news intro.
I was trying to think of what our news channel would be called. HOE Evening News.
HOE 24/7.
Yeah. HOE
420.
69.
How do we even start this conversation? Obviously, the news of Roe versus Wade came out on Friday when our last episode came out. And we can't not talk about this. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're going to be talking about the first half of this episode is less about how angry and sad we are and more about resources that we can provide all of you with. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to give some citations at the top of this so people can also look into these sources and then we can just dive into it.
Cool.
But the citations we're using today are Amanda Howell Health on Instagram. I got a lot of info from AOC's Instagram too. At FORG on Instagram. That's EFFORG. Washington Post, If When How on Instagram, and I cannot recommend this enough. It's called New Handbook for a Post-Roe America by Robin Marty. I downloaded that through 7 Stories online. It was free when I got it. They might have made it free again. But it has so much useful information. I highly recommend getting it, especially if you live in like one of the trigger ban states. If you live in a red state, just equip yourself with this. But yeah, let's get started.
Cool. Yeah, I know that a lot of people that listen are not in the US, but I think that it's important to know what's going on anyway. I've had a lot of texts from people that live in other countries like, what is going on down there?
Like, girl, I don't know.
Yeah, nobody really knows. Liz was just like, we're not going to be talking about how angry this makes us, but y'all know how we feel about this. We're pretty clear on it. There's not a whole lot to be said. I'm really angry. Liz is really angry.
The people who listen to this podcast are probably also very angry. So I didn't want to make too much of an echo chamber because it just would have been like preaching to the choir. Obviously, we could go on forever. I do want to talk about some of the things I'm concerned about.
Yeah. Me too.
I'm worried about the amount of pregnant people who will end up dying by suicide, and also partners who kill their pregnant partner because they don't want a child.
Yeah, we're like, that isn't part of the conversation enough.
Yeah.
How violent some people will, like, people will go to any lengths to not have a kid. Mm-hmm. And if they're in an abusive household, that is like a very, like, that's a risk that could actually happen. The whole idea of like there was a nurse on TikTok that was talking about somebody that was in one of the trigger states. She didn't say which state because she didn't want to put this person in an uncomfortable, or like she didn't want to out this person. This nurse was saying that someone came into the abortion clinic like that night on Friday after Roe versus Wade was overturned, and she had an ectopic pregnancy and her stomach filled up. She was filled with like something like 300 cc's of blood by the time they were actually able to help her with anything. Like, she could have died.
Oh my God.
But like, they had a lawyer there trying to figure out like what was possible, and like the fact that there aren't any sort of the fact that it's a thing in general is fucked. Then the added layer is that there isn't any like, except for ectopic, except for like miscarriages, that if you don't get the baby out of you, you could die. So
yeah, you could die from like sepsis. There are so many things that could go wrong. And like a reasonable person, like even if you are anti-choice, reasonable people still understand that there are circumstances that are like going to be life-threatening to the person carrying the child. So I think a normal like right-wing person, sure, maybe they're anti-choice and they don't believe in abortion, with the contingency that they also believe that something like an ectopic pregnancy or like a serious medical risk should be grounds for allowing that, because it's not black and white.
No.
But we're not, the GOP is not led by reasonable people.
No, and that's the thing.
They're led by evangelicals.
And I mean, like, the people that are on the Supreme Court that, like, lied under oath that they wouldn't overturn Roe versus Wade when they were being, sworn in to being a Supreme Court justice should lose their seat for lying under oath, A. B, if you're pro-life, you need to wake up because, like, this isn't about a mom's health. This isn't about a baby's health. It's none of that. If they cared about any of that, there would be like universal healthcare, universal childcare. There would be a bunch of things in place to like actually protect lives once they were happening. Sarah Huckabee Sanders said something like, "We're going to make sure that kids are as safe in the womb as they are in the classroom," which is the most fucking deaf shit I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Girl, you mean where they get shot?
Yeah.
Or do you mean where they're kept in cages?
Yeah. Which one is it, Sarah?
Yeah.
It's just like there are so many things.
This government doesn't do anything to protect children. Are you fucking kidding me?
They don't
just fund the military and police.
It's all a part of, we're all just pawns in their game, and for people to be like,
which is so fucking annoying because they just don't do what majority of the people even want.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna put on my tinfoil hat here. I think that they're trying to incite a civil war because we're like very obviously in a recession, and the fastest way out of recession is with war. So that's what I believe.
Damn. That is, I mean, everything is always part of a bigger thing, so you never know. It's everything that's happening right now is really scary. I saw something online. I don't know if it was, I didn't confirm it myself, but that HIPAA was a part of Roe versus Wade, how Roe versus Wade was written. HIPAA, like the protection of your privacy, like your medical privacy, is part of Roe versus Wade. And it might have been like codified in different ways, but that was something that was written in Roe versus Wade. So it's like, I don't think that people realize how much is going to start tumbling down after all of this.
My fear extends beyond just like the right to choose. If this happens, so many worse things are going to come as a result of allowing this to happen.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the development of a fetus. So the first stage is a zygote. The second stage is a blastocyst. The third stage is embryo. And fourth stage is when it's finally a fetus, and that's 10 or more weeks. The words baby, child, or infant are not words that are used to describe egg development. And those are just inflammatory words used to elicit an angry or upset response. But that is not like scientifically accurate, saying baby, child, infant.
Yeah.
It's literally not a fetus until 10 or more weeks.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
There was little insert here. There was like how people are describing fetuses rights are the same way that people define cancer. Like it being alive, it being like a clump of cells, it being XYZ, whatever, you're growing it in your body. And it's like, and not saying that kids are cancer, but it's like they're cherry picking what they choose to call what, which goes along with the inflammatory words that they're using to like weaponize.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, regardless of your moral beliefs, like, there is a point where it's not it's just not scientifically accurate. And like, you can't even claim an unborn fetus as a dependent on your taxes because the government doesn't recognize that as an actual child. So
right, 'cause it doesn't serve them at that point.
Yeah, it's just a lot of conflicting stuff at that point. But yeah, 10 or more weeks is when you can consider the egg becomes a fetus.
Data from 2019 says that 43% of abortions happen in the first 6 weeks of pregnancy, 36% of abortions happen between weeks 6 and 9, and 13% of abortions happen between weeks 9 and 13, which is the end of the first trimester, and only 8% of abortions happen after the first trimester, and almost always are due to an extreme risk, which is, like the fetus dying or the person who's pregnant with the fetus dying. So it's for health reasons.
Yeah, like an ectopic pregnancy, sepsis. One of so many things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, for one of the wealthiest countries in the world, we have one of the highest mortality rates among people who give birth. So that's pretty horrendous. But let's talk about what abortion actually is. So it is the removal of pregnancy tissue, products of conception, or the fetus and placenta from the uterus. So that's like a pretty broad description. A naturally occurring miscarriage is considered a spontaneous abortion, which is a legitimate medical term. So some things that can go. There are some other definitions. Complete abortion is all of the products, like the tissue of conception, leave the body. An incomplete abortion, only some of the products of conception leave the body. An inevitable abortion means symptoms cannot be stopped and a miscarriage will happen. Infected or septic abortion, the lining of the womb, aka uterus, and any remaining products of conception become infected. A missed abortion is the pregnancy is lost and the products of conception do not leave the body. And miscarriage and miscarriage management has always been abortion and abortion care. So it's time we use the right and correct terminology.
Now we're going to get into how do you even describe this part? Methods? Resources?
Some resources for ordering abortion pills online.
Yeah.
And then after this, we have a shit ton of privacy and safety precautions to take. Because I know that we do have listeners in red states where they are going to need to be prepared. So I just put everything in one place for us.
Yep. Because there's so much information flying around everywhere. I'm going to mispronounce some of these. But you'll know what I'm trying to say. Just bear with me here. You can order abortion pills online. Plan C pills are mifepristone and misoprostol. Oh my gosh, there's someone in the medical community listening. This bitch just butchered both of them. Ordering Plan C pills is a safe way to end a pregnancy under 11 weeks. You can order from plancpills.org and aidaccess.org. aidaccess.org. Aid Access has discreet shipping. We're not sure about plancpills.org, but we do know that
they probably are.
Yeah,
I'm assuming, but
they must be.
I saw something verbatim that said Aid Access has discreet shipping.
And then afterpill.org has emergency contraceptive. Oh, hello, Amelia. Am I okay? Emergency contraception, aka Plan B.
All right, and then this is the big important part. So privacy and surveillance are obviously major concerns because there are going to be states that encourage people to hunt each other down and get each other in trouble. And yeah, there's just a lot of things to be concerned about. So states who criminalize abortions may begin to take advantage of digital surveillance and track people. And here's how you can protect your digital security. This is called OPSEC, OPSEC. So you can use a VPN, and you can pay for a VPN or use one for free. I would recommend probably paying for one. I think it's pretty hard to find a free VPN. but I'm not totally sure.
If you follow like any YouTubers, like if you watch any YouTube series, they're all sponsored by, like VPN. Nordic VPN is one that I see a lot, and a lot of YouTubers that I like trust are sponsored
Curtis
by them.
Connor.
Scammer Payback. Yeah, so look that up, see if that's within your
because you can definitely
range.
get a discount. And then use a throwaway email address if you want to email. If you want to email privately, you can use a free secure email service called Proton Mail. And there's no space between Proton and Mail. And it's MAIL. PROTON MAIL. Use a private browser like DuckDuckGo or Tor, TOR. And always use incognito mode on your browser, clear your search history in your browser, and lock your device when you are not using it. If you want to hide your activity from third-party trackers, install a free browser add-on called Privacy Badger at privacybadger.org. And when you search the internet, websites you visit, and companies that provide your Wi-Fi or data, they'll keep track of what you're looking at. So examples are AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, all of that annoying shit. And then you'll want to turn off location sharing or leave your phone behind. So if you're going to go get an abortion or however you are receiving one, you'll want to turn off location sharing, leave your phone at home. Some apps collect your location through the day and night and share it with third parties, including data brokers. And data brokers will sell your data to anyone who wants to pay for it. The best way to obscure your location is to just leave your phone at home or turn it off completely. And then you want to make sure your phone and social media apps are collecting as little data as possible. So lock down your privacy settings. Look up how you can lock down your privacy settings, but just opt out of as many things as possible. And then you'll want to get a prepaid debit card as well. I think that'll limit tracking significantly. And then delete your period tracking apps. We've been seeing this a lot. So delete your period tracking apps if you're in an impacted state. Use a password-protected spreadsheet or paper calendar. And then also consider getting a basal thermometer. So basal thermometer, it measures your basal temperature, which is the temperature inside your vagina. It's the temperature of your mucus. And when it is a specific temperature, that is when you are ovulating, and that's when you're the most fertile 2 days before and 2 days after you ovulate, so 5 days total. Obviously, it's not like perfect. Like you can still get pregnant before you ovulate. As far as after you ovulate, I think it is about 48 hours where like that you're able to get pregnant, and that's because the egg will die. So if the egg dies and is released, like you can't obviously get pregnant. Yep. And then I've also heard that Clue is safe to use because it's UK based and they have a lot more privacy laws in place. I'm not totally confident. I would recommend still like researching if Clue is safe to use if you do need an app. I use an app mostly to just track my period and sometimes ovulation. It's more so just to see like if there was consistency between my periods because sometimes they're irregular. So it was more for health purposes and less for like
pregnancy purposes.
Yeah. The pregnancy purposes do help as well because I'm not on hormonal birth control, but we use protection. So
yeah.
And he has the app as well on his phone, so he can help me track.
Love that. Because
in case anything happened, like he would see like, oh, Liz was ovulating this day. Chat on secure encrypted messaging apps. So iMessage, WhatsApp, and Signal are all end-to-end encrypted by default. But Signal comes the most highly recommended because your provider or like Apple or Google, so your provider is like Verizon or AT&T or the maker of your phone, so Apple, Google, whatever, they might have visibility into your messages and data. So Signal is going to be the safest. And then protect your devices. So someone with access to your physical device could view your messages whether or not they're encrypted. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And then don't turn your phone or laptop over to law enforcement without a warrant. And turn off biometric. And then limit who you tell. Most cases against folks who have had an abortion start with the people that they've told. So you're going to need to be like very, very cautious about your close circle and who you tell. I would even say, like, if you're dating someone, you need to make sure you're in agreement about what is going to happen if you get pregnant.
Yeah. That, and this is a good time to mention this tweet that I saw where it was a little over the top. Like, this person was like everyone that was responding was like, this is a lot. But I think it was a good point in some senses that people that are like tweeting and posting whatever about, like, you know, if you're in a trigger state and you need an abortion, like, I'm opening up my home, those kind of things, which is like, I would say 99% of those people mean well. But, like, those are also strangers a lot of the time.
Yeah, there are some evil people out there.
There are also, like, even if they mean well, if, like, the law comes knocking at their door, they will, like, throw you under the bus so quick, you know? Because, like, they don't really have any allegiance toward you. So just be careful. And, like, you just don't know what people's intentions are.
Yeah, the things that we see, terrible people are seeing as well. So everything that we have visibility on, they are also able to see.
Yep.
So just limit who you're telling, which is fucking awful to have to go through this experience by yourself. And it's really scary, but that is going to be the way that you can remain the safest. And then limit where you share your health info. So your dentist and even your workout instructor may hand out forms asking whether you're pregnant. And if you're not comfortable sharing that, just say so, and then save that information for a trusted doctor. So even if I'm not pregnant, I think I still might start opting out of answering that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. It'll make it safer for other women if all of us are obstructing that information. And then be careful about what information you share in an emergency room or a doctor's office. So this is very important. A miscarriage and a self-managed abortion using pills will look identical to most healthcare providers and require the same treatment. So that means if you are having a self-managed abortion using abortion pills and you need care afterwards, you can just say you had a miscarriage because it will look the exact same to majority of healthcare providers. So if something were to happen that, I don't know, required an emergency and you needed to go to the ER, you could say you were having a miscarriage. Like, that is going to be the way to stay the safest. I mean, you'll also have to put on your acting skills and be like, I think I'm having a miscarriage. And yeah. And then start a personal abortion emergency fund for yourself just in case. And like approximately $2,000 is needed considering like the procedure amount, if you need like a medical abortion, travel expenses, things like that.
Yep. There's also, I want to go back to one point. There are some states that are criminalizing people that have miscarriages and they're like investigating those as abortions. So just like, I think that the baseline piece of advice on all of this is just to like read up on the laws in your state. All of them are so different. Figure out if you're in a trigger state, surprisingly, like states like Florida are like a gray area right now. So just like look up what the laws are in your state and like what's considered illegal and what isn't.
Also, Planned Parenthood and abortion clinics are not the only places that you can receive abortion care.
Yep.
I'm sure within your state there will be more information available. If you want to get like super, super safe, you can get a prepaid cell phone. So if you get a prepaid debit card, maybe get a few of those. Get a prepaid cell phone and like an old piece of shit laptop and use that prepaid cell phone as a hotspot for the laptop, and then do all of the things that we said in terms of using a VPN, a throwaway email address, what else? Like incognito mode, things like that.
Encrypted messaging.
Yeah, encrypted messaging. You can do all of that from like a few throwaway devices. And this should not be necessary, but if things were to become extreme, that is an untraceable option for you. Yeah, having to basically use the dark web just to access healthcare. That's where we're at, which is fucking... I'm like, this is the darkest timeline.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we have less rights today than we had last week when we were recording. And that's like a wild fucking thing to think about.
I was doing so well last week.
I know.
So do you want to take over the next part?
Sure.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of conversations about like what it would take to codify Roe into law so that it can't be overturned. There's been a lot of misinformation flying around. There's a lot of people getting emails from like Joe Biden's campaign about like rush $15 and we can, it's like fucking ridiculous. So here are the steps that would need to happen to codify Roe. In the White House, they have already passed the Women's Health Protection Act, which is WHPA. If you see it written, it's usually shortened, to codify Roe. They need the Senate to pass it, but the filibuster is preventing it from passing. This is one of the many reasons that people are pushing for filibuster abolishment or reform. So I think that there's a lot of there have been a lot of instances that the Democrats could have stopped this from happening in the past. I would have given a limb for RBG to live longer, but like even her not stepping down when Obama asked her to is contributing to where we are now because he could have filled her seat. With a Democrat, there are so many steps that could have happened along the way that didn't. And so it's frustrating, and it's frustrating to see them be like, send us $15. It's like, what the fuck
we have all these
doing?
Moderate Democrats who are old as fuck, not doing anything.
Yeah.
Here are some other things to keep in mind that I just thought were really important. I pulled most of these facts from the book that I mentioned. Not every state that criminalizes abortion criminalizes the pregnant person, and many states are more likely to criminalize the physician providing the abortion.
Yep. I'm pretty sure in Alabama it's a life sentence for the physicians.
Which is fucking horrible, but also they know that when they're taking that risk. So, if you can remain safe, they're taking that risk knowing that those might be the consequences. Emergency contraception only has a shelf life of 3 to 4 years. So when I say emergency contraception or EC, that means Plan B pill, not the Plan C/abortion pill. It doesn't work during ovulation and has a lower effectiveness for people more than 165 pounds and a lack of effectiveness in people over 175 pounds. I know that this is a little disputed. Yeah,
there is Planned Parenthood says 195. It's kind of all over the board. So just use caution.
Yeah, and again, this is something that you might need to do a little additional research. Like maybe you take 2.
There's also there are additional options, or there are other options of pills to take if you are over that weight limit. I wish I wrote down the name, but I've been seeing it float around. So just do your research. And if you're at like a religious college or in an area where there is not already an EC provider, it might make sense for you to buy it in bulk and become the EC provider of your area. But obviously this is something that you'll have to be comfortable being the face of emergency contraception for your area, whether that's college or your town where a pharmacy doesn't have it, whatever. You're just going to have to know that those are the risks if you make that decision. Otherwise, it's probably not smart to stockpile emergency contraception just so it's accessible and available for people who really need it. And this is
super important, there is a way that you can use birth control pills as emergency contraception, but your birth control pills have to have the ingredient levonorgestrel, or levonorgestrel. So LEVONRGSTREL. And in order to use a levonorgestrel birth control pill as emergency contraception, you'll want to first compute how many pills you will need to take. First, look at how many milligrams of levonorgestrel are in each pill. For most birth control pill formulations containing that ingredient, this will be 0.5 to 0.6 milligrams. This means that in order to bring the total amount of that ingredient to 1.5 milligrams, you will typically need 3 pills taken in a single dose as soon as possible after having unprotected sex. 1.5 divided by the number of milligrams per pill, or 15,000 divided by the number of micrograms per pill. I know that's confusing. You
can also look these numbers up online.
Exactly. This will give you the number of pills required, round up, not down. So slightly too much medication is better than slightly too little. However, it's unnecessary to use extra pills significantly beyond the 1.5 milligram dose. So you're not going to want to take like 7 pills. Like you'll want to take 3, maybe 4, depending on how much is in your birth control pill.
Yeah. Misoprostol. We're just going to pretend that that's how you say it. Misoprostol is available in pharmacies with a prescription. Misoprostol is used to prevent ulcers in people with conditions like arthritis that require them to take non-steroidal, anti-inflammatory, NSAID, you'll probably hear that on a lot of commercials, NSAID medication long-term. Misoprostol is available from some internet veterinary supply stores and veterinarians, as it is used to treat ulcers and arthritis in dogs. Misoprostol is available over the counter in many Latin American countries. Online pharmacies in Canada sell misoprostol inexpensively, and it has been reported that some may not require a prescription at all. Combination packs of mifepristone and misoprostol together are also available on the internet. So just keep looking up all of your resources for your area, with keeping in mind the privacy things that we listed, because this is all available online. The reason that we're putting it all here is A, because it's all over the internet, and B, because if you try to search this yourself and you're in a trigger state, there's like a good chance that they're going to be using your data to criminalize you, and that's fucked. So be sure,
especially if you're seeking out an abortion. If you're seeking out information, I don't really know if there are any. I mean, better safe than sorry.
Right, exactly.
It's best to be prepared now. And that's also why I recommend at least like downloading that book, because it has literally every single thing you can think of, every circumstance you can imagine. That is available in the book, New Handbook for a Post-Roe America by Robin Marty. It's not a long book at all. It's more of just kind of like, yeah, it's a handbook. It's designed to be precise and as informational and quick as possible. And it has a lot of useful tips along with the things that we provided in terms of how you can protect your data and stay safe.
Shall we talk about fun stuff?
Yeah, we're going to lighten the load.
I've been seeing a new guy, and I was telling Liz before we recorded, like, I'm feeling a little protective about this one because I really like him, and I'm also really worried he's going to hurt me because I really like him. So
I'm nervous.
We're not going to give him a nickname because I'm scared, but I really like him. But he is a dom. He's not like super experienced, but he's like educating himself on the scene. And
we love a man who educates himself.
Oh.
About having
all day
safe sex.
All day.
Especially safe BDSM sex.
But last night, Liz.
Oh yeah, okay. Hold on. Let me preface this. I know everyone's like, why the fuck would you interrupt? When Amelia showed up, I was getting ready and I was like asking for more information, and she was like, I'm going to tell you on the podcast. Like I was slowly getting ready so I could try and get as much information from her as possible, and she just wouldn't fucking tell me. So I'm also dying to hear this.
It's really, I feel like I've like amped
Am I going to do a spit take?
No. It's really not that big of a deal, but I just wanted to talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, you have been looking for your Dom Charming for so long.
Oh, y'all.
This is exciting. This is thrilling.
This dude called me good girl when I was coming the first time we had sex.
I would masturbate to something like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Who's this man? But I bought a butt plug.
Hooray! Did you learn from my mistakes?
I bought an anal training set.
Okay.
And then I also bought, on the same order, I bought ropes.
Okay.
Because he's a rigger, which I've been like wanting to try this for forever. Like, I mean, ever since we had our first butt plug conversation, I've been talking about like, I should buy a butt plug. So I finally pulled the trigger last night because like him and I were having a conversation about it. And then I also bought Japanese silk rope, which is like the soft BDSM rope.
Okay.
Which he recommended because he was like, it doesn't hurt like rope hurts. It's soft. He was saying like that I should buy this rope so that he was like describing what he's going to do to me when I buy the rope. And
like,
right when he fell asleep, I ordered this shit. Because he slept
You're
over.
Like waiting for him to fall asleep so you could order it.
He turned over at one point and I like put my phone down. It's like,
I wasn't ordering
nothing.
An anal training kit. I was not ordering a butt plug.
We were talking about our porn categories last night and like how when you watch like BDSM porn and then like you kind of have to keep leveling up to like keep filling that like, and then it just gets to a point where it's like, I don't know.
What am I looking at?
You like hit a wall with it.
This is why you need to take porn breaks and just tap into that imagination.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I think honestly my imagination just does it for me most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I keep those ideas in the bank.
Yeah.
And then I cash them out.
I mean, like coming to a fantasy rather than coming to like two strangers having sex on camera, it hits different.
Well, and also when I do watch porn, it's more of like an inspiration board for me, you know? Mm-hmm. At some point, the thing that gets me off is not watching those two people. It is imagining me and my partner.
Totally. That's why I like audio porn, because it's like you're not putting a face to it. Mm-hmm. You're like hearing it's like an audio book that you get to like put your own face on. Highly recommend. Tryquinn.com. There you go. There's actually I know a voice actor that is on Quinn that offered to be interviewed. I might take advantage of that.
Well, now I'm like, could I be a voice actor?
Absolutely.
A sexy voice actor.
I want to know how much money they make on that. Anyway, so that's my fun update. Me and this guy that will not have a nickname for the time being decided not to have sex the first night that we like could have, because we were like trying to be like it was feeling very delicate, which was the first time that had ever happened to me, really, since I've been single.
You're also like, I have noticed you are very different with this person because you do really, really like him.
Yeah. Like
the guys that you have dated before, like you'll like them, but it's different. This is coming from a very deep place of, I wish I had the right words to explain the feelings, because I know exactly how you're feeling.
He is not, without getting too far into detail, because I am feeling like I really don't want to talk about this guy on the podcast, but
I have never seen you so like happy and excited to hang out with someone.
It's dangerous. Like I want to be around him 100% of the time. I'm not seeing him for a week and I'm like but it's scary because it's so unclear what like area we're in right now, because we had a moment last week where I was like, after we had a really intense night of like talking about how much we like each other, we had this whole conversation the next day where he was like, I'm freaking out because like it's really easy with you and like I don't want to like get into a position where it's going too fast because like I'm trying to figure myself out right now. And like that was a really important conversation to have, but like it like I needed to hear that, and I thought that I would be able to temper my emotions a little bit better than I have been after that conversation, because like I was like, oh, okay, well, I have all the information that I need, which is true. Like, I respect that he told me that, and I respect that I have all that information now, but you can't stop how you feel. Like,
yeah,
you can't, there's no, like we've said a million times, like, emotion has zero logic.
Oh, of course. Oh my God. This is a conversation my therapist and I have often. That even when we all have this idea, like, we're going to work on ourselves and then we'll be ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
But that's just not how our brain works. That's not how we logically function as humans. And when you're in if you're trying to like heal how you are in relationships, you can't just like work on yourself and be like, I'm ready. Like, it's not like baking a cake. Like, yeah. And then it's just ready to go.
Right.
You have to heal how you are in relationships in a relationship.
Yeah, a lot of the work gets done in a relationship. Yeah.
The work that happens beforehand on yourself is what's going to help you choose a better partner. And then once you choose that better partner, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be in circumstances where you don't have to learn and grow together. And you're going to have to face these challenges where you have to be a better communicator, or you have to handle something differently than how you did in the past. But that's how you're going to get your ideal relationship, is by not being afraid to have those experiences and tackle those conversations and try new things. Yeah. Like, it's going to be uncomfortable. That's just part of it. Yeah. And taking the risk is what's going to get you where you want to go in a relationship.
I completely agree. Yeah.
Which, it's scary.
It is, but you're so right.
And it takes practice. You can't just go work on yourself by yourself and expect to carry that into a new relationship and like everything's going to run smoothly and be perfect and exactly how you want it. That's not how dating another person works. That's not how relationships work. You need to do it together. And the only way you can do that is to just take the risk. You're also not in a rush to be in a relationship. You're like hanging out, and if it's right, then it's right.
Totally. It's such a vulnerable feeling to like
to really like someone.
And to like, if they're like a little distant one day, it's like, what's happening? I mean, you remember that feeling. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Because there's zero security in a situation like this.
I can't believe you tolerated how manic I felt.
I would tolerate you at much worse than that.
I'm like getting excited for you because I'm remembering how I felt, and I'm like,
it's like a hit of a drug.
It's a little exciting. It really is. It's so exciting.
It really is. So
it's such a fun place to be, even though it also feels horrible. It feels horrible and amazing at the same time.
I'm trying to allow myself to be excited about people that I like. I've been talking to my therapist a lot about this because I made a connection with someone that I'm really, really close with like a few months ago. We kind of like shifted our relation. We looked at our relationship through a different lens than we ever had. And I found myself spiraling. And I was talking to my therapist about it, and she was like, well, why do you feel like why do you feel crazy? And everything that I realized that I was doing, he had no idea that I was doing it. You know, it's like all internal. So it's like, I think that I look like a fucking nut job, but like he doesn't. None of
that's so true.
Yeah, it's like
I hadn't ever considered that.
I hadn't either. I was like, oh well, I mean, like, I don't know. I text him like, hey, sometimes. She's like, okie doke, and it's like, yeah, no, you're right. Like, I'm not doing anything that.
There's no idea that my little internal Lizzie McGuire character is pacing back and forth doing a whole ass monologue.
Yeah, I'm also just like, I'm so past the point of wanting to guess how someone's feeling. I'm just so fucking past the point.
And it's so easy to ask.
It really is. And then what's the worst that can happen? Your fears are confirmed. At least then you can stop wondering.
Yeah, and also if they react in a way that you're like, what the fuck was that? Then you can be like, oh, they're not the person that I thought they were.
Yeah.
I'm going to peace out.
Right, exactly. So it's like you get information regardless.
I was creeping on the Discord, as we do.
Every day.
It was like a couple weeks ago. The people on our Discord were discussing how frustrating it is when someone just ghosts or is like very apparent about how they're lying. I have a friend that this happened to recently too, where someone that they stopped seeing or like kind of started to ghost them just like gave an excuse that was so obviously not true, of just like, oh, well, I like don't want anything serious, after they had already like been on a bunch of dates and you're on a dating app and whatever. Like, if you just don't feel that connection, just say that. We're all in consensus and agreement that like it feels so much worse to be ghosted, and you ghost someone because you don't want to hurt their feelings, so you don't have to feel bad. You're like,
so true.
I'm just not going to talk to them because that'll be easier.
Yeah.
But it's not. It feels fucking worse.
Yeah.
And we all know that.
Yes.
So if we're all in agreement on how this feels, just be honest. Just be like, I'm sorry, I just, the connection isn't there for me. It just, like, I just don't feel how I want to feel when I'm dating. And that's fine. And then how they react is also going to be indicative of your gut instinct. Like, if they're like trying to change your mind, then you know that's not someone you want to be with.
Totally. And like, if you're being kind and you're giving them all the information that you have and like you're doing your best, it's up to them how they react.
Exactly.
You can't control how people feel.
No.
And the second that
I'm constantly telling you that.
Yeah, it's true. And my therapist does too. It's like the second that you recognize that you don't have control over people's emotions, it's so freeing. Because it's true.
Well, and then if they blow up at you and they get angry, like,
there you go.
Yeah, you got the answer you needed.
Yeah.
We're going to end with this because we're running out of time. I saw this on Twitter, but it's from Reddit. And it says, am I the asshole for organizing a hoe union of girls at my college? Okay, I know this sounds silly as hell, but it seriously got some people angry with me. I'm in college, I'm in a college organization that is also big on partying. I read Greek life. I feel like it's Greek life.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. It can be fun, but sadly it can also be risky. Most of my friends and I have had bad experiences. And kind of as a joke, I said to my friends that we should unionize, but they were 100% in on the idea, and we started a hoe union. We drew up a list saying we'd collectively skip or leave any party that let in or was hosted by a person who had sexually harassed any of us or anyone else. Didn't let girls mix our own drinks or pick up or pick and open their own beers. Was racist / homophobic / fatphobic / otherwise bigoted about who they let in or were respectful of at the party. Tried to enforce a ratio of girls to guys. If the host had a reputation or pushing freshmen or inexperienced drinkers too heavily. That's a great one. And the 6 of us stuck to it. When we go to parties and shit was off, we'd send a group chat message and all just leave for another party or go to someone's apartment.
Fuck yeah.
And we also told other girls at the party about why we were leaving and where, and often had lots more girls leave with us. The group chat grew from us 7 to 36. Pretty much every girl in our social sphere was in it or knew of it. With all of us sharing info, we all ended up going to parties that were much more chill. It wasn't strict or anything. Like, if someone in the group said we were leaving, it didn't mean anyone was forced to go. But most everyone would anyways, because when practically every other girl leaves, ... But as quickly as the chat grew, word that I'd organized it grew too. First, it was a couple of guys from frats pissed that their houses were no-goes for us. I told them, I don't make that decision. It's not a centralized thing. But then the school administration got involved. I was called to talk to a guidance counselor, and she said that someone had reported that I was leading a group that ostracized people. She said that there was a list of people who, if they came to an event, I'd organize it so every woman left.
So fucking stupid.
I said, there's not any list, just a group chat where people have occasionally said that someone harassed them or a party didn't seem safe, and then people in the group chat personally decided not to go. But I'm not, like, coordinating things. It's just the same as when one girl in a friend group is like, that guy or that frat isn't cool to drink around, and the rest of the group naturally isn't going to want to party with them anymore. She said She said it wasn't a friend group. She was aware we'd call it a hoe union and it had rules. I said that it is literally made up of friends and there aren't any enforced rules. It's all voluntary. I then got frustrated and asked why she thought it was appropriate to involve herself in a private conversation that happened outside of the school campus and left.
Fuck yeah.
Am I the asshole for making the group chat? Obviously not the asshole, but
no.
I wanted to read that because I think that idea is fucking amazing.
Yeah, I agree. That's iconic.
Yeah, just like, especially in college, something like that is so beneficial.
Oh my God.
Of just like, yeah, don't hang out with this guy because our camera just died. Don't hang out with this guy or this frat or whatever because like this guy is fat phobic. Like this guy said something racist. Like,
you unionize.
Yes,
absolutely.
Well, and I don't know if this got deleted, like if I just skipped this part. They called it a hoe union because they like, the men always like joke about like the hoes, like they call women the hoes. So they're like, let's unionize the hoes.
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's see how fun your party is when all the women leave. Bitch.
But I love that idea, and I think the hoes should continue to fucking unionize.
I think that everybody should have everyone should be in a hoe union.
Me too.
Unionize.
The hoes need to unionize. Wouldn't you want to know if a guy you were going out with was like really icky?
Absolutely. And like also the idea of like leaving the party en masse if like, you know, they're not letting women pick their drinks, you're just like protecting other women at that point.
So I just love the idea that these women are just like, if you treat one woman like shit, we're all leaving.
It's disgusting.
Because if you want that also holds men accountable to, one, not act like that, and two, stop fucking associating with these guys.
Yeah.
We all know too many people who remain friends with men who treat women like shit, you know?
Right, and it enables these dudes to keep being assholes.
Yeah, because they're not experiencing any repercussions of associating with men like that and behaving like that. So
it's really weird to me that the guidance counselor got involved.
I know. And then I wonder like how like whatever fraternity or guy who reported this phrased it. Like, you're ostracizing people. It's like, no, to ostracize someone, they'd have to be trying to join a group. And that's not the case.
Don't let them. Right.
Yeah. It's like, well, this guy sexually harassed my friend, so we all decided to leave. And it is all voluntary. And it also just goes to show, like, the level of ignorance among a certain age group online that they just kind of, like, don't understand when something is a joke or is rooted in a joke, like a hoe union. That's really fucking funny.
Yeah, that's great. And
doing it by your own free will, that is very different.
And
it's
also,
kind of like a cult. Like, you can't like, cult leaders are so like willing to be on camera and be interviewed because these are grown adults in charge of their own decisions and behavior, not doing anything illegal.
Yep. Yeah. And like it's to protect people. That's the bottom line. Like if you have a problem with people like unionizing to make sure that everyone's safe and respected.
Yeah, women unionizing to keep themselves safe
because the school isn't doing it.
Yeah, what the fuck?
It's like excuse me, you're impeding on our effort to keep y'all as at risk as possible.
All right. Let's wrap this shit up.
Here are our socials because I forgot. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at The Holy Hour. Email us your spicy stories and compliments and whatever to hoelyhourpodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to us on Patreon for early access and ad-free episodes. Also, if you just want to subscribe, because we don't, it's just a nice way to support us if you're able to. And we're on YouTube. The past 2 weeks we have not been because I just got internet in my new place. I've been off the grid
Amelia's
until
our video
literally yesterday. But we are on YouTube. This episode will be on YouTube. And follow me at Amelia Sampson on everything.
I am Liz Bossohard on TikTok and Instagram, and Liz T-Ball on Twitter, where you can catch me bullying super alt-right folks who leave us negative reviews.
Oh my God. Oh, that's another.
Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for the SEO.
Please review us on Apple Podcasts if you can. You can also rate us on Spotify now, which is cool as of like the past like 6 months, but that's still basically new for Spotify. But yeah, if you feel so compelled to write us a review, it really means a lot to us and it helps us grow, and that's pretty great. Okay, that's it.
We love you, our children.
Oh, she's a baritone this week.